Sorry about that. So I got a phone call and it caused the first video to shut off. So I have to do a part 2. So I believe I was in the story of my wife who rebuked that word that the doctor gave her a sentence of death. It basically was a sentence of death. And this is a very competent doctor. We've known him forever. He's smart. He knows his stuff. And it was a very simple diagnosis. It was easy. He had the MRI there, and he said, there it is. You can see it right there. It's deteriorated. It should look like this down here, but up here, it doesn't look like that. So on the way home, she was feeling all her muscles twitch. And, like I told you, you got in the natural, we're looking at the things which are seen. And in the natural, she's seeing her muscles twitch. She's feeling the same sensations, only she said they were heightened, they were worse. The headache was worse than before. And she said she went to our business and she told one of our employees, who is our receptionist, her name is Susan Hilliard, and she's a spirit-filled believer. And she said, this is the diagnosis. She didn't claim it. She didn't say, I got this. She said, this is what the doctor told me. You got to be very careful about your words. You don't claim it. You don't accept it. But you can acknowledge what was said in the scientific realm. That's just an acknowledgement. The MRI showed a deterioration in the myelin sheath. That's not accepting it. That's just acknowledgement of a fact. But the truth is, by his stripes we are healed. So the difference between truth and facts. We'll get into that maybe in another message. So Susan opens up her Bible and finds a verse. I don't know which one it was, but she said, here, Angela, stand on this. See, the sower sows the word. So she got that word and she confessed it. Now I'm doing something. I'm just like working like crazy, doing things. She never even tells me. She didn't call me up and say, oh, honey, the doctor said I'm going to die, blah, blah. She never even mentioned it to me. Are you hearing me? Which I believe was really important, because the fewer people you tell, look, the one thing about your situation is, I would advise you, if you've been given bad news, or if something is going on that's bad, the fewer people you tell, the better. And it is my advice that you only tell people who are so filled with the Holy Spirit that the first thing they're going to do is say, hey, come on, let's find it in the Word. Let's stand down in faith together, and I'll agree with you. Maybe they'll do a fast with you. That's the kind of person you need to be telling about your situation. Otherwise, keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut, because those people are going to go around speaking negative things about you. They're going to be speaking death over your situation. You don't need anyone speaking anything over your situation except for life and what the Word says. Are you hearing me? Good word right there. Good word. Remember that. Remember that. Remember, if you don't have anyone faithful to talk to, don't talk to anybody at all. So the doctor's calling her, and he calls her up and he's like, she answers the phone and he says, Angela, hey, look, I understand, your stand with God and all. He goes, but at least get a second opinion, at least get a second opinion. She just was like, no, I don't need a second opinion. I know what the Word says about me. So he wouldn't let up. He just kept nagging her and nagging her. He'd call her and text her and call her and text her. Finally, she says, okay, fine. I tell you what, I'll do a second MRI, but I'm not doing it for me. I'm going to do it for you. With confidence, she said that. So she goes and takes a second MRI. It gets sent over to the doctor. She goes over to our friend the doctor, and she's sitting there, and he's looking at it, and he's shaking his head like, I don't understand it. I mean, there's the first MRI, and there's the myelin sheath completely deteriorated. It's obvious it's there. And there's a second MRI, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly healed. He's just shaking his head. He's going, I don't understand it. She goes, is that a miracle? Would you call that a miracle? And he says, I guess. She said, I told you. My Father loves me. He would never allow that to happen to me. And she just went on and began to minister to him, and, it changed the guy's life. He got saved after that. So everything that happens to us, God will use. He will use it. It will all be something He will use for His good. So I think I'm going to end this right here. I'm just going to do that one. I wanted to finish that story, and we'll just call it a night. But I got so much more cool stuff that I'm doing. So much more cool stuff in 2 Corinthians. I got every page highlighted throughout the whole thing, chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just got all kinds of stuff to minister about. So we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.